The crying came from behind a door that was never supposed to open. Third floor VIP wing, 2 in the morning. I stood in the hallway with my medication cart, listening to a sound that didn't belong in a place this expensive. A man's voice, broken, alone. I had 30 seconds to decide. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss these stories. Your support means everything to us. My name is Zacharias Webb, and I'd been working nights at Mercy General in Reno for almost 3 years. I was 29 years old, a registered medication technician responsible for distributing prescriptions and monitoring patients during the graveyard shift. It wasn't glamorous work, but it was steady, and it paid better than my previous job managing inventory at a sporting goods warehouse. Reno isn't what most people picture when they think of Nevada. We're north of the glitz. We get real winters, snow in the mountains, cold that bites through your scrubs when you walk to your car at dawn. The hospital sat just off Keatskey Lane, near the Arlington Avenue intersection, a sprawling complex that served everyone from uninsured students to wealthy retirees from the Callin Ranch neighborhood. Most nights I worked the second and third floors. General medicine, post-surgical recovery. The kinds of patients who needed pain management and sleep aids and someone to check their vitals every few hours. But that night, our usual third-floor tech had called in sick. I got reassigned to cover his wing. That included the VIP suites. I'd heard about them, but never actually been inside. Private rooms at the end of a separate hallway. Restricted keycard access. A different level of privacy for people who could afford it. Hospital administration didn't advertise it, but everyone on staff knew. Celebrities recovering from plastic surgery. Wealthy business people getting discreet treatment. Politicians avoiding the press. The charge nurse, a woman named Delphine, handed me the keycard at the start of my shift. 3 patients up there tonight, she said. 2 post-op, 1 psychiatric hold. The psych patient is in room 314. His name is Leandro Ibarra. Do not engage beyond medication delivery. Do not ask questions. Chart your observations and move on. What's he in for? I asked. Delphine gave me a look. That's not your concern. Just do your job, I nodded. Took the card. Went about my rounds. The first 2 VIP patients were easy. An older woman recovering from a hip replacement. A middle-aged man who'd had some kind of cardiac procedure. Both were asleep. I checked their charts, verified their meds, made my notes, and moved on. Room 314 was at the very end of the hall. I knocked softly. No answer. I swiped the keycard and pushed the door open a few inches. Mr. Ibarra? Medication check. Silence. I stepped inside. The room was dark except for the glow of the equipment monitors. Expensive furniture, a leather recliner, artwork on the walls that looked like original paintings, not the usual mass-produced prints. The bed was empty. Neatly made. I frowned. Checked the bathroom. Also empty, then I heard it. A faint sound from somewhere beyond the room. Muffled. Rhythmic. Like someone trying very hard not to make noise. I stepped back into the hallway and listened. It was coming from a door I hadn't noticed before. Unmarked. Tucked into an alcove at the end of the VIP wing. I'd assumed it was a supply closet or electrical room, but now I could hear it clearly. Someone crying? I should have walked away. Should have called Delphine and let her handle it. That's what the protocol said. That's what I'd been trained to do. But something in the sound stopped me. It wasn't the kind of crying you do for attention. It was the kind you do when you think no one can hear. Raw. Desperate. The sound of someone who'd run out of ways to hold it together. I tried the door. Locked. I looked at the key card in my hand. Wondered if it would work. It did. The door opened into a small sitting room. Plush carpet. A couch. A kitchenette. And sitting on the floor in the corner, knees pulled to his chest, was a man I recognized immediately. Leandro Ibarra. I knew him because everyone in Reno knew him. He owned half the commercial real estate downtown. His family had built the Ibarra Tower on Virginia Street. He was on the board of the university. His face was on billboards, in the newspaper, at charity galas, and he was sitting on the floor crying like his heart was breaking. He looked up when I walked in. His eyes were red. His face was wet. He was wearing hospital-issue pajamas that looked ridiculous on someone who usually wore custom suits. I'm sorry, I said immediately. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. He wiped his face with the back of his hand. I'm fine. You can go. You don't look fine. I said I'm fine. His voice was sharp, defensive, but there was no strength behind it. I should have left. I knew I should have left, but I didn't. I stepped into the room and closed the door behind me. Leaned against it. Gave him space but didn't leave. I'm Zacharias, I said. I'm covering the third floor meds tonight. If you need something, I don't need anything. He turned his face away. Just go, please. Okay. I waited a beat. But if you change your mind, I'll be right outside. I meant it. I turned to leave. Wait, I stopped. Looked back, he was staring at me. His expression was hard to read. Suspicious, exhausted, maybe a little desperate. Why are you being nice to me? He asked. Because you're upset. You don't know me. I know you're a person. That's enough, he laughed. It was a bitter sound. You'd be the first. I didn't know what to say to that. So I just stood there. He wiped his eyes again. Took a shaky breath. They put me in here 3 days ago. Psychiatric evaluation. Apparently wanting to die makes you a liability. My chest tightened. Are you safe right now? I'm not going to hurt myself if that's what you're asking. They've got me so medicated I can barely think straight. He gestured vaguely at the room. They just want to make sure I don't embarrass the family. Can't have Leandro Ibarra jumping off a building. Bad for the brand. Is that what you wanted to do? He looked at me for a long time. Then he nodded. Just once. I'm glad you didn't, I said quietly. Why? You don't know me. I know the world's better with you in it. You don't know that? Maybe not, but I'd like to find out. He stared at me, like he was trying to decide if I was real or some kind of medication-induced hallucination. You should go, he said finally. Before someone realizes you're in here, they'll fire you. Probably. Then why are you still here? Because you asked me to wait. Something shifted in his expression, softened, just a little. What's your name again? He asked. Zacharias. People call me Zach. Zach. He tested the name. That's a good name. Thanks. My mom picked it, he smiled. Just barely. It didn't reach his eyes, but it was something. I should get back to my rounds, I said. But I'll check on you again before my shift ends. If that's okay. He nodded. Okay, I left him there. Went back to my cart. Finished the rest of my rounds on autopilot. My mind was still in that room. Still seeing the look on his face. Still hearing the brokenness in his voice. At 4 a.m, I went back. He was sitting on the couch this time, staring at nothing. He looked up when I came in. You came back? He said. I said I would. People say a lot of things. I sat down in the chair across from him. Not me. We didn't talk much. I asked him if he needed anything. He said no. I told him about my shift. About the older woman on the second floor who kept trying to escape to go feed her cats. About the guy in post-op who was convinced the hospital was a cruise ship. Leandro listened. Didn't smile, but something in his posture relaxed. Like he was remembering what it felt like to be around someone who wasn't treating him like a problem to be managed. When my shift ended at 6, I stopped by one more time. I'll be back tonight, I said. You don't have to do that. I know. He looked at me. Really looked at me. Why are you doing this? Because I think you need a friend. And I'm available. You don't even know me. Then tell me about yourself. He shook his head. There's nothing worth knowing. I doubt that. For the first time, something like hope flickered across his face. It was gone almost immediately, but I saw it, and I knew I was going to come back. I came back every night for the next 2 weeks, Delphine noticed on the 3rd night. Pulled me aside during a break. You're spending a lot of time in room 314, she said. Just doing my job. Your job doesn't include sitting with patients for 45 minutes at a time. He's having a hard time. I'm making sure he's stable. She studied me. Be careful, Zach. That man's family has a lot of power. If something goes wrong, you're the one who'll take the fall. Nothing's going to go wrong. Famous last words. But she didn't stop me, and I didn't stop going. Leandro started opening up, slowly at first. Then more and more he told me about his family. About growing up as the only son of Arturo Ibarra, A man who'd built an empire and expected his child to maintain it. About the pressure, the expectations, the complete absence of anything resembling unconditional love. He told me about his ex-husband, a man named Cristiano who'd married him for the money and the status and left the moment Leandro stopped being useful. About the divorce that had been finalized 3 months ago. About coming home to an empty house and realizing he had no one left who actually cared about him. He told me about the night he'd stood on the roof of the Ibarra Tower and looked down at the street below. About how easy it would have been to just step off. About how his assistant had found him there and called his father, who'd had him committed to the psychiatric wing within hours. Not because he cares, Leandro said, because it would be bad publicity. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. It's not your fault. Still, you deserved better. He looked at me. You keep saying things like that. Like you actually believe them. I do believe them. Why? Because I've spent 2 weeks talking to you, and I like who you are. You like who I'm pretending to be? I don't think you're pretending. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, my father's coming tomorrow to evaluate whether I'm ready to be released. Are you? I don't know. I feel better than I did. But I don't know if that's real or just because you've been visiting. Does it matter? What if you stop coming? What if I go back to feeling like this? I reached across the space between us and took his hand. It was the first time I'd touched him beyond a handshake. I'm not going to stop coming, I said. You can't promise that? Yes, I can. His fingers tightened around mine. Zach, I mean it. Even after you leave here. If you want me to, I'll keep showing up. Why would you do that? Because I care about you. He pulled his hand back. Looked away. You shouldn't. Too late. Zach, you don't understand. My life is complicated. My family is complicated. If they find out you've been spending time with me, they'll make things difficult for you. Let them try. I'm serious. So am I. He stood up, paced to the window, looked out at the parking lot below. I don't know how to do this, he said quietly. Do what? Let someone care about me. It's been so long since anyone did. I stood and walked over to him, stood beside him at the window. You don't have to do anything, I said. Just let me be here. That's all I'm asking. He turned to look at me. We were close enough that I could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, could smell the faint scent of whatever soap the hospital provided. What if I want more than that? He asked. My heart kicked against my ribs. Then we'll figure it out. It won't be easy. Good things rarely are. He smiled. A real smile this time. Small but genuine. You're either very brave or very stupid, he said. Probably both. He laughed. Actually laughed. It was the best sound I'd ever heard. Okay, he said. Okay, let's figure it out. Arturo Ibarra arrived the next afternoon. I wasn't there, but Leandro told me about it that night. He spent 10 minutes asking about my treatment plan and 30 minutes lecturing me about responsibility, Leandro said. Then he informed me that I'm being released tomorrow. I'll go home to the estate in Collin Ranch. There will be a private therapist, a driver, someone to monitor my medications, all very discreet. How do you feel about that? Terrified. Of what? Of going back to that house. Of being alone again. You won't be alone. Zach, you can't just show up at my father's estate. Why not? Because he'll have you arrested for trespassing. Then we'll meet somewhere else. Where? I don't know. Coffee shop, park, your choice. He shook his head. You're insane! You keep saying that like it's a bad thing. He reached for my hand, held it between both of his. Thank you, he said. For everything. For seeing me. For not giving up. I'm not going to give up. Promise? Promise. He leaned forward and kissed me. Soft, tentative, like he was afraid I'd pull away. I didn't pull away. When we separated, he was crying again. But this time it was different. This time there was something like relief in his expression. I think I'm going to be okay, he said. I know you are. He left the hospital the next day. I worked my shift as usual. Went home to my apartment on Plum Lane. Tried to sleep but couldn't stop thinking about him. 3 days passed with no word. I started to wonder if I'd misread everything. If he'd decided it was easier to just disappear back into his old life. If I'd been a distraction and nothing more, then on the 4th day, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Zach? It's Leandro. Relief flooded through me. Hey, I was starting to worry. I'm sorry. It's been complicated. My father's been monitoring everything. But I have an idea. Can you meet me tomorrow? 10 in the morning? Where? Rancho San Rafael Park, near the Arboretum entrance off McCarran Boulevard. I'll be there. Thank you. And Zach? Yeah? I missed you. I smiled. I missed you too. Rancho San Rafael Park sprawled across several hundred acres on the north side of Reno. Rolling hills, walking trails, the Arboretum with its carefully maintained gardens. On a Saturday morning in late March, the weather was cool but clear. Perfect. I arrived early, parked near the Arboretum, and walked to the entrance. Waited. Leandro showed up exactly on time. He was wearing jeans and a sweater, sunglasses, a baseball cap pulled low. Trying to be inconspicuous, it worked. No one gave him a second glance. Hi, he said. Hi. We started walking, fell into step beside each other. For a few minutes, neither of us spoke. Just enjoyed being together outside the hospital. Outside the pressure. How are you doing? I asked finally. Better. The therapist is good. Actually good. Not just someone my father hired to make the problem go away. We've been working through a lot. That's great. Yeah. He paused. I told her about you. What did you say? That I met someone who made me want to keep living. She said I should probably spend more time with that person. Smart therapist? He smiled. I thought so too. We walked to a bench overlooking one of the ponds, sat down, watched the ducks gliding across the water. I need to tell you something, Leandro said. About my situation. Okay. My father controls most of my access to money, to property, to everything. If I want to stay in his good graces, I have to play by his rules. That means being discreet, not making waves. Definitely not dating someone he hasn't approved. My stomach sank. So what are you saying? I'm saying this won't be easy. We'll have to be careful. Meet in places where no one knows us. Keep things quiet until I can figure out how to extract myself from his control. How long will that take? I don't know. Months, maybe longer. I turned to look at him. And you think I'm going to walk away because of that? I think you should. You deserve someone who can be with you openly, who doesn't come with all this baggage. I don't want someone else. I want you. He looked at me, removed his sunglasses so I could see his eyes. You're sure? Completely. Even if it's complicated? Especially if it's complicated. Nothing worth having comes easy. He kissed me, right there on the bench in the middle of the park. Didn't care who might see. When we pulled apart, he was smiling. The kind of smile that transformed his whole face. Okay, he said. Let's do this. We spent the next several months building something real. Something that belonged to us. We met twice a week at first. Coffee shops in neighborhoods where neither of us was likely to be recognized. Hikes in the Mount Rose wilderness. Long drives into the desert where we could talk without worrying about being overheard. Leandro told me about his life. About growing up wealthy but lonely. About the pressure to be perfect. About the ways his father had tried to control every aspect of his existence. I told him about my life. About growing up middle class in Sparks. About putting myself through community college to get my certification. About wanting to do work that mattered even if it wasn't glamorous. We learned each other. The small things. The way he took his coffee. The way I always listened to old country music when I drove. The fact that he couldn't cook to save his life. The fact that I could make a decent meal out of almost nothing. Slowly, carefully, we fell in love. In June, Leandro started making moves to separate his finances from his father's control. He hired a lawyer. Started liquidating some of his personal assets. It was a delicate process. His father noticed immediately. There's going to be a confrontation, Leandro told me one evening. We were sitting in my apartment. He'd started coming over once or twice a week. It was the only place we could really be alone. Are you ready for that? I asked. I think so. The therapist has been helping me prepare, but it's still going to be ugly. I'll be here. Whatever you need. He reached for my hand. I don't know what I did to deserve you. You didn't have to do anything. You just had to be yourself. That's never been enough before. It's enough for me. The confrontation came 2 weeks later. Arturo Ibarra summoned Leandro to his office downtown, demanded to know what was going on. why he was pulling money, why he was talking to lawyers. Leandro told him the truth, that he was building a life independent of the family business, that he was seeing someone, that he was done living according to someone else's expectations. Arturo threatened to cut him off completely, to remove him from the family trust. To make sure he never worked in Reno again, Leandro said that was fine. He'd find his own way. The fallout was immediate. Arturo made good on his threats, froze Leandro's access to the family accounts, had his name removed from the company letterhead, started telling people that his son was having another breakdown. It hurt. I could see it in Leandro's face every time something new happened. But he didn't break. He'd already survived the worst thing he could imagine. This was just inconvenient. I have enough saved to last a year, maybe 2 if I'm careful, he told me. I'm looking at going back to school, getting a degree in something I actually care about. Maybe teaching? Teaching what? I don't know yet. History, maybe. Or literature. Something where I can help people learn. You'd be good at that. You think? I know. He moved out of the estate in August. Found a modest apartment in the Midtown district. Nothing like what he was used to, but it was his. He paid for it with his own money. Furnished it himself. I helped him move in. We spent a whole weekend assembling furniture and hanging pictures and arguing about where things should go. It felt like building a home. In September, Leandro enrolled at the University of Nevada, started taking classes toward a degree in education. He was terrified at first, convinced he'd be terrible at it. But he wasn't. He was smart and curious and genuinely interested in learning. He made friends, real friends who liked him for who he was, not because of his family name. He started smiling more, laughing more. The darkness that had surrounded him when I first met him didn't disappear completely, but it receded, became something manageable instead of overwhelming, and we kept building our life together. In October, almost a year after I'd first heard him crying in that hospital room, Leandro asked me to move in with him. We were sitting on his couch, watching a movie, his head on my shoulder. I've been thinking, he said. About what? About the future. About what I want it to look like. And I want it to look like this. You and me, together. I kissed the top of his head. I want that too. So move in with me. Officially. Bring your stuff. Make this our place instead of just mine. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. I moved in 2 weeks later. It was easy. Natural. Like we'd been doing this for years instead of months. My lease was up anyway, and the idea of coming home to Leandro every day instead of just some days felt right. We settled into a rhythm. I worked nights. He went to classes during the day. We had evenings together, weekends, quiet mornings before I went to bed and he went to campus. It wasn't perfect. We had fights, disagreements about money and schedules and whose turn it was to do the dishes. But we worked through them. Talked them out. Learned how to be partners. Leandro's relationship with his father remained strained. They spoke occasionally. Brief, polite conversations that never went deeper than surface pleasantries. Arturo had made it clear he disapproved of Leandro's choices. Leandro had made it clear he was done seeking approval. It was painful. But it was also freeing. I spent my whole life trying to be what he wanted, Leandro told me one night. I'm done with that. I'd rather be happy than acceptable. You can be both, not in his world. Then we'll build our own world. He smiled. We already are. In December, Leandro finished his first semester with straight A's. He was proud of himself in a way I'd never seen before. Not because someone else told him he should be, but because he genuinely felt accomplished. We celebrated with dinner at a small Italian place on California Avenue. Nothing fancy. Just good food and good conversation. Thank you, he said over dessert. For what? For saving my life. I didn't save your life. You did that. No, I was ready to give up. You gave me a reason not to. You gave me one too. He reached across the table and took my hand. I love you, Zach. I love you too. It was the first time we'd said it out loud. We'd both known it for months, but hearing the words made it real in a different way. 2 years later, Leandro graduated with his teaching degree, got a job at a middle school in the northwest part of town, started teaching history to 8th graders who were equal parts terrified and fascinated by him. He was good at it, patient, encouraging. The kind of teacher who actually cared. Whether his students understood the material, he came home exhausted every day. But it was a good kind of exhausted, the kind that comes from doing work that matters. We bought a house together. A small place in the old Northwest neighborhood off West Street. Nothing extravagant. Just 2 bedrooms and a yard and enough space for both of us. It was ours. Built with our own money, our own choices. Leandro's father came to visit once. Looked around the house with thinly veiled disappointment. Made a comment about Leandro wasting his potential. Leandro just smiled and said, "I'm happy." That's not a waste. Arturo left shortly after. They didn't speak for another 6 months. It hurt less each time. 3 years after we met, Leandro proposed. We were hiking in the Sierra Nevadas, middle of summer. Blue sky and pine trees and the kind of quiet that only exists in the mountains. He stopped at a lookout point. Turned to face me. I have something to say. Okay. When I met you, I was at the lowest point of my life. I didn't think I had a future. I didn't want one. And then you walked into that room and refused to leave. You saw me when I couldn't see myself. You believed in me when I had nothing left to believe in. Leandro, let me finish. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Opened it. Inside was a simple silver band. I don't need a big life anymore. I don't need money or status or approval. I just need you. So will you marry me? I was crying. Happy tears this time. Yes, absolutely yes. He slipped the ring onto my finger. Kissed me there on the mountain with nothing but sky and trees as witnesses. We got married 6 months later. Small ceremony at the courthouse. Just us and a handful of friends. Nothing fancy. Nothing performative. Just 2 people who'd found each other in the darkest moment and decided to build something beautiful. Leandro's father didn't come. Sent a card instead. Brief, formal. Congratulations without warmth. Leandro didn't seem bothered. He had what he needed. We both did. Looking back now, I sometimes think about that night in the hospital, about the choice I made to open that door. To step into a room I had no business being in. I broke every rule. Risked my job. Crossed boundaries that were there for good reasons, but I'd do it again in a heartbeat. Because that choice led to this. To a life I couldn't have imagined. To a love that feels like coming home. Leandro still has hard days. The depression doesn't just disappear, but he has tools now. Support, a therapist he trusts, medication that actually helps instead of just numbing everything. And he has me, we have each other. That's what I learned that night. That sometimes the most important thing you can do is just show up. Be present. Refuse to walk away when it would be easier. Sometimes that's enough to change everything. I'm Zacharias Webb. I'm 35 years old. I still work nights at Mercy General, though I've moved up to a supervisory role. I come home every morning to a man I love more than I knew was possible, and I've never regretted breaking those rules.